In life, it's important to win in competitions. Strive to not be defeated by others. These were the words my father instilled in me. His influence led me to always aim for victory. I could never have imagined my life taking such a turn. My name is Michael. I was born into an ordinary family, where my father worked a regular job. Since childhood, I've been highly competitive. Losing games with friends would genuinely upset me. I despised admitting defeat and even argued with friends over it, feeling intense frustration. Admitted gracefully. My mother would scold me, but my father was more understanding, saying, "Competitive people grow in life." In life, it's important to win in competitions. Strive to not be defeated by others. He recognized my nature, considering it far better than being weak. Dad himself was quite competitive. He seemed more upset than I was when I scored lower than my friends on tests. "Dad, you're competitive too, aren't you? Is it in our genes?" I once casually asked my mother while in elementary school. I meant it lightly, but her expression turned serious. "I should tell you, your father wasn't always like this when we first got married." Really? I was surprised by this unexpected revelation. He was a high school graduate, which delayed his promotions compared to his university-educated peers. He fell behind in sales performance and was eventually excluded from the promotion track. He suffered a lot, being looked down upon by his promoted peers and younger superiors. That's why he became obsessed with winning. He doesn't want you to go through the same, and that's why he's sensitive about your grades. He really wants you to go to college. This situation was more serious than I had thought, and I felt somber. My father, who seemed like any other office worker, was carrying such a heavy burden. As a child, I wanted to succeed and make him happy. Got it. I'll do my best for Dad too. I made this resolve to my mom. Though I had no specific dream for the future, I was determined to achieve great success. I worked even harder on my studies. Being naturally diligent, I focused on the basics. As a result, my test scores were consistently high. Dad was always pleased with them. "Good job getting results." I remember him ruffling my hair in praise. In middle school, I pushed myself even harder. Many students went to tutoring, but I didn't want to be outdone by them. With hard work, I consistently stayed within the top 5 of my grade. In high school, my efforts paid off, and I was accepted into a prestigious national university. On the day of the university acceptance announcement, seeing Dad's joy when I told him of my success was incredible. "Michael, congratulations. My son is going to that university." That day, my father brought home a cake and celebratory gifts, repeatedly expressing his congratulations. I was not only happy about being accepted into my dream school, but also about fulfilling my father's dream of sending his son to college. After enrolling, I successfully earned my credits and secured a job at a major corporation. I had taken the first step as a professional, leaving my student life behind. The initial period at work was challenging with a lot to learn, but gradually, I got the hang of it and became efficient in my job. My competitive nature continued to drive me, and I strived to outperform my peers, achieving good work performance. Unknowingly, I stood out among my peers. "Michael is very diligent, so I can rely on him with confidence," my boss, Mark, would say, entrusting me with important tasks. Motivated, I devoted all my energy to my work. Then one day, I was appointed as the leader of a major project, receiving significant investment from the company. Mark recommended me to President West, who believed in my abilities despite my youth. Success in this project would undoubtedly fast-track my career. I couldn't miss this opportunity. I wanted to make it a success. After being appointed leader, I worked tirelessly every day. Despite long hours and overtime, I never felt the need to rest. Time flew by, and the project was a success. I gained a significant lead over my peers, climbing the corporate ladder at an unprecedented pace. I even managed to impress President West. Furthermore, President West often invited me to dinner, where he once told me, "I've seen many employees, but few are as outstanding as you." Eventually, I was even considered a candidate for the next company president. It seemed like my childhood dream of becoming a big shot was about to come true. However, there were a few others seen as rivals. Since they were all capable workers, I continued to work diligently, without slacking. As winter waned, President West summoned me. What could it be about? I wondered, entering his office with slight nervousness. President West greeted me with a smile and invited me to sit. It didn't seem like bad news. Actually, I was thinking of arranging a meeting with my daughter. A meeting? I was taken aback by this unexpected proposal. "Yes, I have a daughter named Rachel, around your age. It's about time she started thinking about marriage." President West showed me Rachel's photo. She was strikingly beautiful, with bright eyes. Marrying her meant joining President West's family. This was a step closer to the presidency. Maybe I should consider this meeting, especially if it could lead to becoming president. I couldn't deny that my ambition influenced my decision. Of course, I intended to decide about marriage based on Rachel's personality. Although we worked at the same company, we had never spoken. I had doubts about whether we would be a good match. But those concerns vanished when we met. Rachel was down to earth and easy to talk to. Our conversation flowed naturally, and by the end of our meeting, we were quite comfortable with each other. Rachel seemed to have a good impression of me too. Things progressed smoothly from there. And so, we happily married. My newlywed life with Rachel was blissful. Rachel, aiming to support my focus on work, scaled back her own career to manage our home. On weekends, we enjoyed shopping or fun outings together. We spent our time laughing and cherishing each other. My career was flourishing exceptionally well too. Advancing rapidly through the ranks, I played a key role in pivotal company decisions. The work was challenging yet rewarding. Being viewed as a likely next president, I became the envy of my colleagues. My parents were elated with my swift progress. "It's great that you didn't have to endure what I did. And to think he'll become a president." Dad even got a bit emotional. I felt content, believing I had done something worthwhile for my parents. Life seemed to be sailing smoothly. 2 years into our marriage, Rachel greeted me with an apologetic look upon my return from work one day. "Actually, I've planned a trip with Emily this weekend, so I have to cancel our shopping plans. I'm sorry." Emily was Rachel's close friend since their college days. She had mentioned her difficulty in seeing Emily often due to our busy lives. Though saddened by her absence, I supported her need for a break, as she was constantly busy with household tasks. "Understood. Enjoy your time with her." "Really? Thank you." Rachel joyfully began preparing for her trip. The weekend after bidding her farewell, I decided to stroll through a neighboring town. While searching for dinner, I entered a supermarket and was taken aback. "Huh?" I spotted a familiar face. It was Emily. Initially, I doubted myself, but as I approached, it was unmistakably her. "Michael, what a coincidence to see you here." She approached to chat. "Isn't Rachel with you on a trip?" "No, we had no such plans." Emily seemed genuinely unaware. Where could Rachel be then? I tried calling and texting her, but received no response. I had no choice but to wait for Rachel's return. "Hi, I'm home." Upon Rachel's arrival, I confronted her. "I saw Emily at the supermarket in the next town. Your story about the trip was false, wasn't it? Where were you really? Rachel appeared uneasy. Then her expression turned cold. It was a coldness she had never shown me before. I was on a trip with Andy. Andy was a male colleague competing for the presidential position. He was a decade older, known for his efficiency and uncompromising work attitude. President West highly regarded his work ethic. I thought he was serious. Why would he go on a trip with Rachel? Are you admitting to an affair? I asked Rachel, incredulous. She remained distant. I have my side of the story. Let's discuss it tomorrow with my dad and Andy. She was firm, avoiding a proper conversation. The next day, President West and Andy arrived at our house to address the situation. Rachel, why did you go out with Andy? In the tense atmosphere, President West posed this question, and Rachel's response was startling. Actually, Michael has been mistreating me regularly. Even a minor mistake in cooking would prompt him to call me worthless, uttering harsh words like he can't eat such food. Hey, what are you talking about? I've never done anything like that. I was completely shocked. I had never been so cruel to Rachel. Yet, her fabrications continued. Michael changed after our marriage. He even struck me. Tears started to stream down her face. Andy, supporting her statement, nodded. She's correct. I saw Rachel looking upset at work and offered a listening ear. She confided about her husband's verbal and physical abuse. Our trip was to discuss her troubles. Andy, you too. Are you implying you had an affair? Andy looked at me with a cold gaze and replied. She has a diary. It likely has entries about Michael's abuses. It's all made up. President West, please believe me. I pleaded earnestly, with gestures and expressions. I hoped her past rust would suffice to clarify the truth. But President West looked at me sternly. Rachel is not a liar. Andy is credible too. I trust their accounts. You're despicable. I want you to divorce immediately, and you're also fired. I can't believe this. Despite my attempts to further persuade them, it was futile, and the meeting concluded. The following day, I was packing up my desk in a somber mood. Whispers filled the air. Michael was abusive to his wife, apparently. Well, I thought he was decent. Disgusting. Their voices were intentionally loud. Their words reached me clearly. It felt like my heart was being ripped apart, and I fought back tears. I lost everything, including the home I shared with Rachel, and moved back to my parents' house. Naturally, they were concerned. After hearing the story, my mother wept in sorrow. There's no way Michael would do such a thing. My father was profoundly troubled. Seeing his son's life deteriorate was a shock. Did I cause this by raising him to be a winner? He pondered. I quickly refuted this. This catastrophe was not my father's fault. It's not your fault, Dad. We've had many happy times. Life isn't over. We'll be all right. Hearing this, my father managed a small smile and said, "Thank you." But I couldn't stop questioning my life's purpose. Was all my hard work for nothing? Does hard work not pay off? As I contemplated this, my drive completely vanished. I knew I needed a new job, but I lacked the energy to pursue it. I spent my days idly at home, watching videos online late into the night and waking up after noon. This lethargic routine persisted. A month after my dismissal, I finally ventured outside when my mother requested an errand. She didn't say much, likely wanting to give me a change of environment. Indeed, being in the sunlight slightly uplifted my mood. After completing the errand and on my way back, something occurred. A woman carrying a large bucket emerged unsteadily from a flower shop on my path. She looked unstable, and as I anticipated, she soon stumbled and fell. "Are you okay?" I rushed over to help, and the woman stood up, saying, "I'm sorry, I'm not injured. If you'd like, I can help you carry that." Thinking it was the right thing to do, I offered my assistance. Initially, she hesitated, but then gratefully accepted, saying, "Please, thank you." While helping, I learned about her. Her name was Lily, and she had been running the flower shop for a year. After the work was done, Lily tentatively made an offer. "If it's okay with you, would you like to work here? A part-timer recently left after graduating. I've been needing help but haven't found anyone. I can pay you." I accepted her offer immediately. I was looking for a job, so this is perfect. Thank you. This was how I unexpectedly found employment. When I told my parents, they seemed genuinely relieved. Working there, I discovered Lily's deep knowledge of flowers and her talent in nurturing quality plants. Her friendly service had earned her a devoted customer base. However, her business management skills needed improvement. The shop wasn't drawing new customers due to ineffective PR. Additionally, it was barely profitable because of excessive spending. Having experience in these areas from my previous job, I took charge of the business aspects of the shop, allowing Lily to concentrate on plant care and customer service. This collaboration doubled the shop's revenue. Lily was incredibly thankful, saying it felt like a dream. As we became closer, I shared my own story with her. She listened with empathy. Upon hearing about my divorce, she expressed indignation. "It's so unjust. I accomplished so much, only to fall like that. It's as if my efforts were in vain." I responded, and after a moment, Lily replied, "Michael, you've been too focused on winning and losing. It's okay to relax. I didn't attend a prestigious university, and my shop isn't the biggest, but I'm content. My regulars appreciate me, and that's enough. Happiness lies in simple things." Her words made me realize something. I had always equated losing with unhappiness and insignificance, but I have parents who accepted me despite that. The skills I learned at my previous company are now valuable in the flower shop. Indeed, I was too fixated on not losing. I'll aim to live more relaxedly from now on. This shift in mindset made me feel lighter. I realized I was the source of my own distress. Lily, who offered this insight, was truly wonderful. Gradually, I found myself drawn to her warmth. 6 months later, while working in the shop, the door opened. "Welcome." I was stunned to see who entered. It was President West and Rachel. They looked serious. It didn't seem like a casual visit. "I visited your parents, and they directed me here. We need to talk." I found a private space to hear them out. "To be honest, I want you back at the company. I apologize for everything. I was mistaken." President West's admission surprised me. "What happened?" "Andy embezzled funds. The company is in turmoil. We also found he was harassing employees. You were the reliable one after all. I'm supposed to be a horrible husband who abuses your daughter, right?" How easily they change their tune. When I made a sarcastic remark, Rachel spoke up. "I admit I had an affair with Andy and plotted against you to make him president. Everything got exposed at work, and I'm in a lot of trouble. It was all my fault. Please come back." They both apologized. They were trying to look pleasant, but it was clear they had changed their stance only because they were in trouble. Besides, I had Lily now. I couldn't just leave her and go back. "I won't return to the company. I'm quite happy as it is." They hurriedly tried to persuade me, mentioning a generous salary and a certain presidency position. But my decision didn't waver. Realizing this, President West and Rachel left, hurling insults as they went. They never truly intended to apologize. I was utterly disgusted and glad I refused. After they left, Lily approached me, looking concerned. I overheard the conversation. Are you sure you're okay with this? Yes, I'm fine. I love this shop and want to keep working here. I answered with a smile, and Lily beamed. Then I'm glad. I want to keep running the shop with you, Michael. Later, I told my parents everything, and they agreed with my decision. In hindsight, I wanted Michael to be happy more than being a winner. If he's happy working, any job is fine. My dad nodded with a smile. Thus, Lily and I continued running the flower shop together, hand in hand. The business thrived, attracting more customers, and the shop became livelier. A year after meeting Lily, I confessed my feelings and we started dating. Recently, I proposed and we got married. Ours is a home filled with genuine love, free from ulterior motives. Thanks to her, I realized the happiness I had overlooked, making life enjoyable. Moving forward, I want to cherish the small joys of everyday life and value my family. Madison doesn't have a mother, is that right? During a visit to my daughter's prospective in-laws home, the mother asked me this simple-eyed question. I don't think our families are a good match in terms of background. What are your thoughts on this? The father also inquired, looking down on us. I was infuriated at them for belittling my precious daughter. If it's a single-father household, did you even go to high school? It's hard to have a conversation with someone who's undereducated, and marrying them would only lead to mutual unhappiness. Our son deserves someone who graduated from one of the top universities in the U.S. Hearing this, I laughed off the rude couple. I then opened my mouth to reveal my daughter's true background. The education-obsessed couple was astonished. Our counterattack began. I'm Jack, a single father. I have a daughter named Madison. My wife passed away in a car accident 20 years ago, just before Madison was about to start elementary school. My wife's parents had already passed away due to illness before that. Since then, I've been raising Madison with the help of my parents, her grandparents. However, I mostly relied on my parents for household chores and hardly had time to play. I remember trying to do something parental, like burning the omelet while making a lunchbox for a sports day, worrying all day when I couldn't pick her up from daycare because she was sick and I had to work, and only feeling relieved when I saw her sleeping peacefully late at night. I couldn't attend parent-teacher meetings often and had to hear about them from Madison or my mother, who attended. On weekends, when I was working, my father would take Madison to amusement parks, and I could barely manage to see her off to school and hardly ever greet her with a welcome home. Honestly, I feel like I was only minimally involved in her life. Nevertheless, Madison grew up to be strong. Dad, you need to eat properly even when you're busy. I made lunch, so make sure you eat it. Thank you. I'm particularly proud of the omelet, so look forward to it. Worried about me being busy, Madison would make lunch for me and start talking about her day at school. Dad, the other day, the teacher praised me. That's great, I'm so glad. Even with the little time we had, she would share her school stories with me. Dad, there's a school I want to go to. Oh, if that's what you want, I'm behind you all the way. Thank you, Dad. As her father, I might be biased, but I believe she has grown into a kind and considerate woman. Recently, Madison told me she wants to marry someone. The guy, Ethan, seemed to have a gentle demeanor. I met Madison through work, he said. Ethan is a lawyer who graduated from Harvard, Madison added. I see. So an elite, huh? Not at all. Compared to Madison and you, Jack, I still have a lot to learn. He laughed in response, and it might be rude to say, but he didn't really look like the elite type. This was probably why he seemed like a good match for my somewhat gentle daughter, Madison. Considering they were both in their late 20s, I had no intention of interfering with their decision to marry. However, watching him smile tenderly at Madison, I could tell he would genuinely cherish her. I felt confident that Ethan would take good care of Madison. Please take care of Madison for me, Ethan. Yes, I will definitely make her happy. It's not just about making her happy, but about being happy together. Yes, looking forward to our future, Ethan. Me too, Madison. I wholeheartedly blessed the two of them, smiling tenderly at each other. A while after Madison introduced Ethan to me, she said she needed to talk. Next time, I'm planning to visit Ethan's parents' house to greet them. Dad, would you come with me? Me too. Yes. Both of Ethan's parents are busy with work and it's hard for them to find time. That's why we want to have a meeting with both families together. I want you to come along. I see. All right, I'll join you. Thank you, Dad. Sure, if they're that busy, we'll accommodate Ethan's family schedule. Let me know once the date is set. Okay, I will. But try to set it up as soon as possible. Since it's a slow period for me, I'm flexible with time and decided to adjust to the other family's schedule. But it was supposed to be this weekend, but it seems Ethan's dad suddenly got called into work. Is that so? The weekend plan got postponed, and then I was told, it seems Ethan's mom has to attend a meeting for an event. Well, if they have other commitments, it can't be helped. In this way, the plan was set and then postponed several times due to various commitments, and at times the discussion went back and forth, making it difficult to finalize the plans. It seems they really are busy. 2 months after Madison mentioned it, we finally managed to schedule a visit to Ethan's house. We've been waiting for you, Jack. Sorry to keep you waiting. Not at all. It's our fault for postponing it for so long. Sorry about that. No, it's fine. Please, come this way. Ethan led us through a magnificent gate. Looking at Madison beside me, I could see she was nervous. I was aware that I had the same look on my face. Ethan's family home was a large traditional house. The garden was spacious and well kept, with colorful carps swimming in the pond. The roof tiles gleamed black, and the large entrance was spotless. It was a very impressive house. We were then led into a large guest room. A painting hung on the wall, and beautiful flower arrangements were placed in expensive-looking vases. It was clear that this was a house with a distinguished history. In the center of the guest room sat a well-dressed man and woman, presumably Ethan's parents. The father, dressed in formal attire, sat with his arms crossed. He looked at us steadfastly, making no move to get up. "Welcome to our home." The mother, while smiling and appearing friendly, gave the impression that her eyes were not smiling. According to what Madison had told me earlier, the father's name is Robert. He's a bank branch manager. The mother is named Linda. She's a principal at a private high school. I had heard that both parents, like Ethan, graduated from Harvard University and are both highly accomplished. Nice to meet you. I am Madison, engaged to Ethan. My name is Jack, her father. Thank you for taking the time for our daughter today. I am Ethan's father, Robert. I'm Linda, the mother. Please take the seats. We sat on the chairs and greeted them. After they introduced themselves, we sat down on the chairs they offered. Please have some coffee. Thank you, I replied. Linda served the coffee and then returned to her seat next to Robert. Thank you for coming all this way today. The meeting, which began on a seemingly cordial note, felt more complicated as I noticed Linda's smiling eyes and Robert's seemingly condescending gaze. Today is a good day for this. Yes, indeed, we're lucky with the weather. As we chatted about the weather and other light topics, Linda suddenly asked Madison an intrusive question. I heard your mother isn't with you. Is that right? Mom, that's so rude to ask out of the blue. What's wrong with that? It's a fact, isn't it? Yes, well, Ethan tried to reprimand Linda, but she seemed unconcerned. I couldn't help but give a wry smile at the situation. Excuse my asking, but how old were you when she passed away? Well, Madison lost her mother in a car accident just before starting elementary school. Mom, that's really inappropriate. Who took care of the household chores then? Surely not you. No, my parents helped out, especially my mother. She did most of the housework. It must have been difficult without a female figure in the house. No, it wasn't like that. Mom, Linda's rapid-fire questions started to irk me. Without a mother, who would have taught you about household chores, especially cooking? My mother took care of the household and taught Madison various things in my and my wife's stead. Due to this, Madison became very skilled at housework. She is especially good at cooking, and her specialty, the omelet, is exquisite. That's right, Madison's house is always clean, and I love her omelet, added Ethan. But still, I tried to explain before Linda could continue, but she seemed unconvinced. I worried about the difficulties Madison might face with her as a mother-in-law. I don't think our families are quite a match in terms of background. What are your thoughts on this? Just as I was contemplating this, Robert, who had been silent until then, spoke up. His question took me by surprise. Dad, what are you talking about? What do you mean by that? Our family has a long and distinguished lineage. Linda began to explain, supplementing Robert's statement. Our ancestors include politicians and bureaucrats. I see. Of course, not only Ethan, but all his siblings have attended or are attending Harvard University. He's also making a name for himself as a lawyer. Yes, I'm aware of that. It's not just Ethan. His siblings have also graduated from or are currently studying at Harvard University. Mom, what's your point? Educational background doesn't matter. It does matter. Our family is a lineage of elites, all from Harvard University. The thought of Ethan marrying someone without a mother raises concerns about her upbringing and education. That's outrageous, Mom. In other words, they implied Madison wasn't suitable for their family. Realizing this, my anger began to rise. But for Madison's happiness and for Ethan, who was trying to calm his mother, I clenched my fists, holding back my anger and enduring Linda's words. If you're from a single-father household, did you even attend high school? Conversing with someone undereducated can be difficult, and marrying such a person would only lead to mutual unhappiness. Our son deserves someone who graduated from one of the top universities. Enough, Mom. That's incredibly rude. Undereducated. Madison. Just because she didn't graduate from a top university in the U.S. Ha ha ha. Dad, what are you doing? I couldn't help but burst into laughter, laughing off the absurdity of the situation. Madison tried to scold me for it, but I ignored her and continued to look at the two of them. They had said enough. Now, it was time for us to speak our truth. I looked at them squarely, ready to speak my mind. Laughing all of a sudden, what's the meaning of this? So, you're saying Madison isn't suitable for your family just because she's from a single-father household, and you assume she's undereducated? That's what we're saying. If you understand that, then please leave soon. Saying this, Robert looked at me with a look of annoyance. The audacity to judge my daughter's character and inner qualities based solely on her being from a single-father household is absurd. I've never heard anything so ridiculous. It's so ludicrous that I couldn't help but laugh. You only see the surface and titles. Such shallow people. As I spoke, both of them seemed to be getting angrier. Linda's veins were popping, and Robert's face turned red. Whether from a single-father household or not, education is passable. Madison has worked hard and is a wonderful person. She may not have graduated from a top university in the U.S., as you mentioned, but as her father, I can assure you she's a daughter to be proud of. Don't judge based on your prejudices and values without knowing anything. After my forceful response, they were momentarily speechless. I stood up. Madison, let's go. We don't need to greet such rude people. Yeah, you're right. Excuse me. As we were about to leave, the door opened, and a young man entered. Kyle. Oh, he's my brother. What's up? I'm Kyle, Ethan's brother. I heard my brother's fiancée was visiting today, so I wanted to greet her. As he spoke, Kyle's eyes shifted. Upon seeing Madison, he was astonished. Professor Johnson. Kyle, are you? Yes, I'm Kyle, a student. I can't believe I'm meeting Professor Johnson. I admire you. You're my brother's fiancée. Calm down. Yes, that's right. Nodding to Kyle's words, Ethan turned to his stunned parents. Madison is currently a special professor at Harvard University. A special professor at Harvard University. Unbelievable. Their expressions said it all. My daughter graduated from Oxford. Oxford. Yes, she studied there, published numerous papers, and was recognized globally. She was invited to Harvard University through one of my acquaintances. And now she's teaching there, where Kyle is studying. She's my pride and joy. But even if she graduated from one of the world's top universities, she's not from a top university in the US. Is that not good enough for you? I looked down on their stunned faces. Despite being from a single-father household, she's from Oxford. You never change, do you? Then, Ethan stood up with an exasperated expression. You've always been prejudiced, interfering in my social life. Because of you, I had limited friendships and led a miserable life. His dad is from the lower class, or that kid is uncivilized. I couldn't make friends or create memories because of you. Ethan vented his frustrations to his parents. Madison is the only person I chose to marry. If you refuse our marriage because of your vanity and outdated family traditions, so be it. I'll join Madison's family and cut ties with this house. Ethan, how could you say such a thing? Let's go, Jack. Madison. Ethan gently took Madison's hand and helped her up, then nudged me towards the door. Following his lead, we left the house. I'm truly sorry for the way my parents acted. Ethan apologized, showing respect as soon as we were outside. Ethan, I was naive to think they'd accept the person I chose, no matter what. I thought they'd come around, thinking it was for my benefit. You think differently, don't you? Of course, I want to marry Madison, regardless of education or job. I can't see myself understanding my parents' perspective. Ethan looked up at Madison as he spoke. Still, my feelings for Madison haven't changed. I want you to know that. Yes, of course. Madison responded by taking Ethan's hand. Seeing them together, I felt reassured. I smiled, watching the two of them, confident they would be all right. Jack, Ethan addressed me. It's all right. You tried to stop your parents. I still trust you with Madison. Thank you. Well, I actually have something to discuss. Let's talk about it at home, I suggested. Yes, sometime after that meeting. Sorry to disturb you, President Johnson. What is it? There are visitors requesting to see you, President Johnson. While working, I suddenly had visitors. Visitors? Who? Robert and Linda, my assistant, informed me. All right, please show them to the reception room. Understood. It seemed Ethan's parents had come. Hearing their names, I directed them to the reception room. When I arrived, they were sitting uneasily on the sofa, unlike their poised demeanor during our last encounter. Here's the coffee, said my assistant. Thank you. After my assistant left, Robert started speaking. We're terribly sorry about the other day. As the doors of the reception room closed, Robert began to speak. We're truly sorry for what happened. We didn't know Madison's father runs such a large company. They were unaware of my position, and Ethan hadn't told them. No, they probably hadn't listened to him. I am the CEO of a company. It was busy expanding and dealing with troubles when Madison was young, but now it's stable. Thanks to our efforts, we've gained a global market share. Our company has employees from top universities, including Harvard University, contributing significantly. Although I didn't graduate from Harvard University myself, I'm proud of my education from Yale University. But Madison surpassed me in every way. Her eagerness to learn sometimes astounded even me. Running a company, especially during busy periods, often left me with little time. However, I always made the most of the time I had with Madison. Dad, yes, I want to have extra lessons in maths. All right, I'll find you a good teacher. And there's more I want to study. What would that be? Whenever Madison expressed a desire to learn something, I made sure to provide her with the necessary resources. Thanks to this, she developed a passion for studying, to the point where it became her hobby. Aren't you interested in fashion or popular things, Madison? Well, I guess not right now. Don't you want the latest popular drink or something? Not really. I'd rather read research papers. This made her somewhat naive and out of touch with trends, which I considered her only flaw. Jack, you and Madison really have a good relationship where you can talk about anything. Yes, we're family. I understand her well since she talks to me about everything. Our family is quite different. We don't understand Ethan's thoughts. Ethan's thoughts, you say? Yes. Ever since he left home, we've been worried about him. We don't know what he's doing now. It was clear that Robert and Linda were genuinely concerned about Ethan. That was evident from their expressions. We only hear from him occasionally to know he's alive. We have no idea what he's doing or where he is. And then we tried to meet Madison, only to hear she had left the university. Do you know what she's doing now, Jack? Apparently, they really knew nothing about the situation. Did you talk to Ethan after that? Well, yes. They told me they were willing to accept his marriage to Madison, but Ethan wasn't satisfied. He just flipped his opinion because Madison is an outstanding Oxford graduate, right? That's true, but what's wrong with that? So, if Madison was from an ordinary university, you wouldn't have accepted the marriage. Of course not. What's wrong with that? You really didn't understand anything. No matter the educational background, your attitude was wrong. Wrong, you say. How can you not realize how rude you were and that your thinking is flawed? Until you understand that, I won't return home. With that, Ethan apparently left. The two of them, who had been so assertive before, were now completely dejected. It seemed they were deeply shocked by their eldest son's departure. Why do you hold such prejudices? Especially you, Linda, being an educator. Yes, I'm the principal of a prestigious private high school. Linda began to explain, still downcast. Our school has a high success rate of students entering Harvard University every year. However, those from well-off families with both parents present have a significantly higher acceptance rate. This didn't necessarily explain the prejudice against single-parent families. The reason, even if students from single-parent families can afford private schooling, they often can't focus solely on studies. Many of these students work part-time to lessen the burden on their parent or to be self-sufficient. As a result, they naturally have less time for studying, and some struggle with their family situation to the point where it affects their academic focus. Sometimes we even have issues with families who are late in paying tuition fees. Such students typically have a lower academic drive. I see. Thus, the equation in my mind became, single-parent families are poor, and children from poor families are undereducated, Linda said. Indeed, seeing such situations firsthand can lead to such perspectives. However, yes, despite being a principal and an educator, I should never have looked at any student with prejudice. Over time, I became soaked in these biases, failing to see each student as an individual. It's embarrassing to admit as a person. Her attitude showed genuine remorse. Robert, too, nodded in agreement. It seemed they had finally reflected on their actions. With this, I felt I could hand over what had been entrusted to me. I presented them with a letter. This was a handwritten letter from Ethan and Madison that I had been keeping. "If my parents ever truly repent and apologize to Jack, please give them this," Ethan had said. So, I had held onto it until now. "To Dad and Mom, Madison and I are going to live in England. Madison has ties to the university, and I plan to acquire an international lawyer's license here. I am truly grateful for the upbringing you've given me. It's true that your interference was painful for me, but I understand it was out of love. However, I couldn't bear it this time. Before I start to completely dislike you, I wanted some distance. Sorry for keeping silent. To Robert and Linda, honestly, I cannot forgive you for insulting my hard-working father and my deceased mother, but it was not my intention to separate Ethan from his parents. Once we've calmed down, please visit us in England. I want you to see our life." The letters from the two, who must have been hurt by the recent events. Reading their letters, tears flowed from Robert and Linda's eyes as they whispered, "We're sorry. I thought they were always children, but they have gone far beyond my reach." As I spoke these words, both of them nodded repeatedly through their tears. Ethan and Madison are now admirable adults. I understand the desire to keep them close and the worry that comes with it. But as parents, we must recognize the right time to let go. While it feels lonely, I wish for their happiness in their own lives. I hoped for just that. Since then, Ethan's parents and I have become occasional contacts, staying in touch now and then. We meet for meals or drinks, often discussing our children's lives and sharing stories about them. Welcome, Jack. Thank you. By the way, I received some photos from them. Let's look at them over dinner. That's great. It's good to know they're doing well. Yes, indeed. The photos they sent this time were apparently taken in London. London, I'm looking forward to seeing them. These moments have become very enjoyable for me. Naturally, I feel a sense of loneliness thinking about my dear daughter, who has ventured overseas. By the way, I spoke with Ethan on the phone recently. Oh, it was awkward at first, but when I expressed my desire to hear about his life, he opened up and shared many things. That's wonderful. Yes, previously, I would have just imposed my views without listening to him. I've come to realize that being a good human being doesn't necessarily correlate with educational background. You've changed, haven't you? Yes, I've learned much from my own son. Linda smiled gently at Robert's laughter. I was raised to believe our family was prestigious, but boasting about it doesn't make it true. I was simply living in a delusion. Prejudices can be frightening. Both Robert and Linda, who smiled more warmly than before, seemed to have grown more attractive as people. Following that first phone call, their communication by phone and email increased. I sensed a flaw in their familial relations. Years later, I found myself at the airport with them. Previously, in Madison's letter, she had expressed a wish for us to see their life for ourselves. The day to fulfill that wish has finally arrived. Dad, Madison, Ethan and Madison, who greeted us at Heathrow Airport, had changed a bit but were vibrant and well. Long time no see. Yes, it has been a while. You look well. Ethan and his parents, unlike us, seemed a bit awkward in their conversation. Let's go to our house, Madison suggested, and we all agreed to visit Ethan and Madison's home. Well, everything is so neat. Yes, of course. As we were shown around the house, we came across a room that caught our attention. Is this a baby crib? And baby toys? Could it be? Yes, actually. Madison said, gently smiling and touching her belly. So, our grandchild was on the way. Oh my. So, we're going to be grandparents, Ethan's parents exclaimed. Congratulations, Ethan and Madison. Thank you. Thank you. The couple beamed with genuine happiness. Actually, it turns out we're expecting twins. Twins, that's double the joy. Ethan, make sure to take good care of Madison. Of course. Don't repeat our mistakes. Listen and communicate well. Yes, of course. I'll love these children just as much as my father loved me. If anything comes up, don't hesitate to call us. We'll be there in a heartbeat. Thank you. We all laughed heartily together. The conflict of that day had finally been resolved. After staying at their home for a few days, it was time for us to return home. Next time, we'll visit America. Yes, all four of us. We look forward to it. But don't push yourselves too hard. Yes, come back healthy and happy. We made this promise before heading back home. Robert, Linda, would you like to join me for some shopping? Shopping? Yes. I thought we could send some baby items to Ethan and Madison. That's a wonderful idea. Let's go together. Both families were excited about their first grandchild. We bought and sent so many items that Madison later called to say, "Thank you, but you've sent too much." Years later, the three of us prepared to welcome the family of four. Having prejudices on various matters isn't uncommon in life. However, misconceptions can often obscure the truth. So, before acting on them, I hope people will pause and reflect. It's essential not to judge hastily based on misconceptions or prejudices, but to strive to see the essence of things. That's what I've come to believe.